What's up, guys? It's Missy. I'm back with another SimCity Buildit video. We are doing a walkthrough of one of my CoM trainers. This is not going to be a quick walkthrough, let me tell you that. I mean, it's pretty bad. So, I sent 4 people off on their own this week. 3 failed, one was successful. The 3 that failed, they failed miserably. Like, I was not expecting it to be this bad, or I would not have sent them off on their own. Now, one of them failed miserably because of a series of reasons. As you guys may have saw in yesterday's video, she had kind of messed up on the upgrades and things like that. Now, I want to make very clear that when I do these videos, they are not meant to be a beatdown. They are meant to help you understand. And people focus more on the criticism part of the exercise than they do about the learning part. That is just my way of taking out frustration because I've been working with you for 6 fucking months and you're not understanding. So, you know, give a little, I've been really damn patient. So you're just going to have to take a little bit of my bitchiness at this point. That's just how it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would be frustrated too. Trust me. If you understood this shit, like, you could see it in your sleep and just be like, bing, that's the right answer. And then you've got somebody over here that you've tried everything with and they're just not getting it. I want to take a hammer and a nail and just put it in your fucking head, man. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, sometimes that's where I'm at with this. And so I have to step back and I have to realize, okay, they're just people. Don't put the nail in their skull because this is not working. So, okay, let's talk about this lovely shit show of a fucking week, shall we? Oh my god. Yes, you started off with a 3K upgrade. That sucks. That is going to need canceled. Anybody that starts off a list with a 3K upgrade, you know you need to cancel that. If you allow that to sit, it's going to block anything good from happening. Which do you do first? Do you cancel the upgrade or do you do the upgrade war disaster card first? Well, let's talk about it. If you cancel the upgrade with the 3K task sitting there, the probability of getting a 3K task in return is lower. If you do the task with a 3K task sitting there, the probability of getting one in return is lower. So it equals itself out. So it doesn't matter really which one you do first in this particular scenario. Cancel or do the war card upgrade. But within the first 2 tasks, those 2 things are going to need done. Okay, so then she's got a 2400 upgrade design challenge. Now, this is problematic, but given the fact that she's done 1 cancellation already, we already know we have to do the 3K. We're not going to just jump right off the bat and cancel a 2400 on top of it and do a double cancel. That's stupid. You would not do that under this circumstances. Why? Because it's too early on to decide that you're already going to open up that much of a window. Okay, so what the game tries to do is it tries to level you out. You'll notice, like, if you do a 1K task, that you get, usually, if your list isn't completely screwed up, usually it does a kickback of a 3K task. So, like, if you do a 1K rare attack, all of a sudden you get a 3K task. Now, when I was studying algorithms, back when when I was playing the Contest of Mayors competitively, one of the things that I had to focus on was, well, besides everything, was pattern, right? So if I do this, why do I get this kind of thing? And when everything is just so completely random, it's really hard to pick up on those patterns of what's happening. But many of you who've been playing this game for a really long time, give me just a second here. Okay. Many of you guys that have been playing the game a long time have picked up on some habits, okay? And maybe you guys are higher level players. So I'm going to tell you guys, before I release this technique, nobody played CoM like this. Most people that play CoM were playing under the I don't camp style of contest mares. Now, when you're not camping, the choices are way different. You know, when I do these exercises, these choices are for the level 11 to level 24 to 29 players, saying that you're not camping and you don't have regionals, or that you're camping and you do not have regional maps. Now, as you proceed on, the choices become way different. So if you're a higher level player watching these exercises and playing this way, you're not going to be doing well. Now, some of the things that I talk about in most of these exercises are true, but I have contest mares exercises for high level players. When I was studying these algorithms, I had to take into consideration that I'm not a low level player. So my choices are way different than your guys's. When I first wrote the guide, I was writing it blind. I had to write it with what I knew about the guide, but without a low level city, right? So for the first like 6 months that my guide was out, I had completely different players at the time in my group. And it was like a trial and error thing with a lot of this stuff. We had to learn, okay, that's what's happening to you guys, this is what's going on, and we had to kind of shift everything. And then I finalized the guide. The moment that I finalized that freaking guide, the day of, SimCity fucked everything up. And they changed some huge changes. And all of a sudden, CoM went completely haywire, right? Now, as changes happen, you guys are going to have to be able to adapt to those changes. They're going to keep changing it. That's just how it is. Now, if you understand the general idea of what it is I'm trying to teach you here, you will be able to get those answers on your own. So you have to think, I had to write this shit. Nobody taught it to me. I had to teach it to myself. I had to write it myself. The reason that I'm capable of doing that and you're not capable of learning it is because of one thing. I'm analyzing everything and thinking, and you guys aren't. For the most part, you're trying to pull the knowledge from your memory. You're trying to go, okay, back when this happened, I should have done that, so this is what I'm going to do. That's not understanding the content, right? That's memorizing it. So if I tell you 2 + 2 is 4, and you memorize 2 + 2 is 4 forever and ever and ever, then when somebody comes up to you and says, what's 3 + 1? You're not going to know it's 4 because you don't know how to add, right? I need you guys to focus on the technique rather than the individual choice itself. We're going for a technique here, okay? I'm not teaching you the choice between this or that. I'm teaching you how to get to that point and then pick the right one. That's what you need to focus on. So I'm going to do my best to try to do this walkthrough a little bit differently and try to teach it from a different perspective. Now, in this case, it's kind of like I said yesterday, where the teacher walks away and you're left there with your pencil twirling in your hand going, where the hell do I go? I don't know what to do. She comes back and all of a sudden she's holding your hand and things make more sense. It doesn't make sense to me why these players are doing so badly, because let's say that I was to say you're not flying solo this week. You're going to submit your screenshots as you do every week, and I'm going to ignore them as I do every week until you've already made your choice. I do not give them answers anymore. I had fallen into a really bad habit of giving them answers, and I stopped doing that. So they come to me with screenshots, they make their choices, and then I catch up and I say, okay, this was right, this was wrong, this was why. Most of the time, these 3 players make the right choices, right? I'm just there to observe, really, is all it is. The only difference this week was I just wanted you to send all the screenshots at once, and I was going to observe them all at once. There was nothing different about any other week when you guys fly solo versus when I train with you the last 3 weeks. But you did horribly this week. Why? Why do you think that is? Because you're psyching yourself out. You're telling yourself, oh my God, Missy's not here. I don't know what I'm doing. It's kind of like a kid that can ride a bike and the parents walking behind him. They're not even touching the bike and the kid's fine, right? And then the parent stops and the kid's looking behind him like a dumbass and falls over. That's exactly what's happening here. You guys know this shit. Now, you don't need me to walk behind you every step of the way to make sure that you guys are doing shit okay. You have to have a little more confidence in your choices. And if you're unsure of your choices, then you need to figure out why. You need to say, what's confusing me about this? Where is the breakdown? What am I missing here? And that is where you guys are messing up, because you're not doing that. You're just looking at it going, oh my God, I'm confused. Give me my answer. Okay, that was the right answer. Next. Like, no, this isn't like hurry, rip it off like a Band-Aid, let's get this over with kind of shit. You shouldn't even be flipping that page until you understand how we got to that conclusion. That's how I feel about it. If you really want to learn, there's no flipping the page until you understand why what you're doing is what you're doing, and why what you're not doing is why what you're not doing. So let's get into this damn BS. Okay. So, top 3 of her choices here are not looking too great, given the circumstances. She will need to do a cancel. Then she has a coins task, which is a last resort rotatable task. Usually you don't really touch this task until you've either, one, run out of some options and you have like nothing else, or until you are into your tickets and you're going for points over opportunity, and then yes, you would do that. Okay, so cargo. That is rotatable. Usually this task does not get touched at a low value very frequently, right? So like if the cargo is at 1800, it needs to be done and taken care of pretty much right away. Why is that? Why is it that we do an 1800 cargo over, let's say, a 1600 repair? Let's just say hypothetically that you could even get a 1600 cargo. How many people here would pick cargo over repair versus how many people would pick repair over cargo? There's a difference. Okay, both of them are non-premium, but one of them doesn't come back as frequently, right? Cargo doesn't come back as frequently, so the opportunity is higher with the cargo. Therefore, you need to look at the amount of tasks you have remaining and your current list to determine if that's the right choice. If you see that you have several tasks left, it's about finding an opening, okay? So now she's got a Epic for 1200. That's a rotatable task, but it's non-premium. So, I mean, it's an option, absolutely. But it's not something like a main task that we would do right this very second. Then she's got the Flower and the Launch 1 VU. Those are her rotatable tasks, right? And then she's got the Monster for 1000, which we would never touch. And then she's got the 800 Common War Attack, which would need rotated once she's run out of all other rotatable options, being how it's so damn freaking low. Now, if it was a rare attack, it would be at the 1000 value, and then it would be equal in value, but better in opportunity. Whereas Common War Attack is pretty low in opportunity and low in value. So that's more of a lower on the scale rotatable task. It's something you would result in if you had like 2 or 3 rotatable tasks in your list and you were running out of time on the war. Your average is good, then yes, you would rotate it, but otherwise you would normally leave it sit if you have other things that you could do. Okay. And she's got an 800 regular residential, which obviously we're not going to touch. So looking at her list, her rotatable tasks are Epic, Cargo, Flower, VU, Common War Attack. Okay? Then she's got the coins, if absolutely need be. And then she's got her main task with the upgrade War Disaster, and then her cancellation with the 3000 at the top. The 2400 design challenge is going to be left to sit for now until further notice, right? So that's the full breakdown of where her tasks are at. This right here is essential that you understand how to do this part. When you first break down your list, many people just look at the top 3 and then just kind of skim over the bottom. They don't really break it down into main versus rotatable tasks. You need to know how to do that, because you're going to have to be able to do that for the entire rest of the contest. So what she does is she goes and cancels the the upgrade, which, okay, that's correct. Then she gets a missing screenshot, which would have been when she did the war card, because it's missing. So she cancels the upgrade and she gets the 1200 repair. She does the upgrade war card and gets the 2400 Old Town building. Okay, so again, not looking too good for her. Right now, she's got 2 of the upgrades right around 2400 value, taking up 2 of her 2400 placements. So she needs to take into consideration that she will probably have to cancel again at some point, but right now she's got other options. Those 2K placements are still open, and so there's no sense in canceling anything right this very minute, especially given the fact that her list is such a wide variety that the chances of her getting upgrades are pretty good, right? Considering how many different types of tasks she has in her list right now. So looking at her list from here, we know that we're not going to cancel either of those upgrades. It's too early on. She just did a cancellation. It doesn't make sense. The repair for 1200, that makes absolutely no sense, right? Because that's a last resort. You know, if repair would have been at 2000 or higher, 2000 or higher, then and only then would she clear that, because it would be taking up that 2K placement. But right now, it opens up 0 opportunity, and it gives crappy points. So right now, she has the cargo that sits at 200 higher than her flower task, if you remember from here. So do we do cargo or flower? Well, flower opens up better opportunity and is only 120 points lower. So we would go with the flower over the cargo. But we're not done here yet. We have VU, which is at 1000. And it's 80 points lower than the flower. So how do we compare these two? Well, okay, VU is premium. Flower is premium technically, but you're not going to get a 3K flower task, right? So the VU you need to test the waters at some point, right? So like with VU, it used to be clear the VU right away. You would always clear the VU no matter what its value was, because it had the opportunity of opening a 3K task, and being how you can only get one of them, you would want to open up that doorway, at least have the doorway optional. Then the game developers fucked up the algorithm of this task, and people started getting 1K VU way more frequently than any other. But that doesn't mean to never do this task and do it as a last resort. It still can very much give you 3K tasks or 2K tasks, and it should be done and at least had the waters tested. I would have went with VU here, okay? Because of the fact that I know that flower does open up opportunity, yes, but the VU opens up better opportunity if it does come back for 3000 or even 2000. Now, I would not have necessarily marked flower wrong, but I certainly would have been thinking about the VU in the future, like real near future, okay, unless something better presented itself. So if she does flower or VU, I would mark it as correct. I would have went with VU, but that's just me, okay? So why are we not picking the epic here? It's 200 higher. Okay, so the reason we're not picking the epic here, and I wanted to cover that, is because of the fact that this task is non-premium and it is a rotatable task. Yes, they're all rotatable tasks, right? But certain ones have better opportunities and better algorithms or worse algorithms or whatever. You need to know each thing about each task. We know that with this task, she will more than likely get 2 or 3 more epic tasks that are going to kick back. Now, we know that there's no chance of her getting a 3K epic task. They only go up to 2400. There's 5 different points values you can get. 800, 1200, 1600, 2000, 2400. 2 of those are 2000 or higher. So the odds of her getting one for less than 2000 or higher are greater than her odds to get one for 2000 or higher. This would be a lower resorted rotatable task. So definitely would go with the VU or the flower over the epic point or the cargo at this point, right? Because she has so many options. Okay, so let's see what she picks. That is an old screenshot. It says 59 assignments, 57. Hang on. Oh, that's why I forgot I went backwards. Okay, so she does cargo. This makes no sense to me right here. So with the cargo, like I said, it was 200 higher. So she's playing like she's going for maximum value points. So what the vibe that I've got from 3 of the trainees this week is that I almost get this vibe that they're trying to pick the highest value tasks in terms of rotation. So like when it comes down to their rotatable tasks, it seems like they're more often than not, they're going with the points value being greater than opportunity. That seems to be where everybody's kind of been falling off. And part of me wants to say that it's because they want so bad to do good that they want their average to be high. So they're trying to basically grab any little bit of points they can get from anywhere, not realizing that grabbing 200 from here could be worse than losing 400 from here, right? Because of the way that this pans out. It doesn't make sense. If I say I can give you a 1,000 war attack if you give me a 1,200 cargo, or you can give me an 800 war attack and I give you a 3,000 VU, right? So it's kind of a head fuck sometimes because you feel like you're doing less, but you're getting more. And you have to know when those opportunities arise. And in this case, this made 0 sense whatsoever to rotate in cargo, okay? At this current time, if it would have been 1,800, then she would have picked cargo under these circumstances because it would have been holding that 2K placement. But right now, she should have sacrificed those 200 points to have something greater and better happen. So that was mistake number 1. Now she gets us 1,600 keys. Now something tells me she's going to go for the 1,600 keys, which pose 0 opportunity for her, right? So she's still 400 down on her average, and it's just no good. I mean, so what? You do the keys, and then within 3 or 4 tasks, it's going to be right back. Now, the odds of it coming back for less than the 1,600 are slim. So what reason would you have to pick something different the next time it comes back around? What reason? If that was the correct choice now, why would it be any different in 3 tasks? It wouldn't be. The only difference would be is you would have realized, oh, this didn't work last time. I didn't get anything better, so I need to go with something else. That should have been your first clue the first time around, that you're not going to get anything better. You know it's going to come back, so don't do it, right? Not unless it's holding its 2K value, or unless you're on your tickets and you're playing for points over opportunity at that point. Now, the correct choice here would have been the flower or the VU, right? Because that's her highest premium rotatables. Now, like I said, something tells me she didn't do the VU or the flower. Something tells me she made, yeah, okay, so she does the keys. So she's playing for points. She's done this in the past. This particular person, I've had talks with her about always going for points over everything else. Now, then she gets a 2,000 upgrade and does an 800 war card. I can't make sense of this. This, to me, makes 0 logic. 0 whatsoever. Like, you have a 1K VU and you have a 1K and 80 flower. They're premium, and you pick a non-premium war task that falls below that. Now, we're not talking like a 1K rare war attack. That would have been equal in value and better in opportunity. That would have changed the whole thing. So if you would have looked at the guide that I have written, you would have seen there's a separate section for each war attack. There's common war attack, rare war attack, legendary war attack, right? They're not all 3 grouped into the same thing. They have their own definition. This posed 0 benefit on the points scale, right? So it's the lowest points possible in your list. And it opened up really shitty opportunity. Now, it could have done a kickback of a 3K task, sure. But the point is, you're not opening up better opportunities for yourself here. If you look at your list and you break it down, I have you guys mainly focusing on the fact that you can have right around 4 tasks worth 2,000 points, right? But look at the other ones. Look at the fact that you have, like, you usually have 1 to 2 worth about 800. Then you have 3 or 4 worth between maybe 1,000 and then 1,500. And then you have the 1,500 to 2,000s, and then you have the few, you know, really high ones. The few really high ones for most of you low-level CoM players are going to be those upgrade tasks, because you're doing all of the other high-valued tasks that come across your plate. So the ones that are going to be stuck sitting in your list as time goes through the contest is going to be those upgrades. You have to learn how to cancel at the right time and work around them at the right time. If you're not opening up opportunities for those to pop up, then you have to look at the options available to you, right? Anytime you make a selection on a task, look at the options that it could give you back. Write it out. You only have so many different variations of tasks. Take out anything that's in your list already, and then go for points values, and then process of elimination. This opened up nothing good and gave nothing good, kind of thing. That's where she's at with this. This couldn't be more of a wrong choice. I don't think there was anything worse she could have picked. Even a cancel would have been better. Like, not like literally, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's a 1,200 hit on your average. Okay, so like 4 days, 6 hours left. We're in war, right? So even if war was ending soon, she had way too many open options at this point. So when you guys are doing your assignments, many of you guys are in groups that are doing war or whatever. So you have to kind of adjust the way you pick your assignments based on when the monster's around, or when you are doing your war attack based on your war schedule. Now, sometimes that will result in you having to rotate your war task at a time in which is not best. This was not one of those cases, because even if war was ending at this time, which it wasn't, but even if it was, okay, I'm pretty sure it wasn't, it doesn't make sense with this many other options available. If she only had like 2 or 3 other options, then I would have understood. But she has a full list of options at this point. So that didn't make sense. So she gets a 2,000 planks. Now, obviously, she should have picked the planks, right? Because it's at that 2,000 value, it's premium, get it done. Then she gets the Latin, comes in for the 1,200. So we know that it's giving her kickbacks for upgrades, but she already has 1, 2, 3. Let's see if she sent the bottom of her list. 4, 5 of the upgrades taken up, right? So the game's given her, you know, for the most part, the majority of her upgrades are already in her list. Now, she does the launch 1 VU. Okay, so she rotates in the VU, which this would have been correct at this point. She gets a 1,200 keys. At this point, the correct choice is what? Okay, so 0 opportunity and equal amount of value in points with the repair, right? The upgrades, she's got 1, 2, 3 of her 2K placements taken up with upgrades. So she's looking at having to do a double cancel here real soon if she doesn't start making something happen. So she needs points, yes, but she needs opportunity as well. The correct choice here is Epic or Flower, right? Because Epic matches the points values in terms of the keys and the repair. And the keys and the repair are non-premium, so it doesn't make sense to go with keys or repair right now. But the Flower is 120 less, but opens up better opportunity. So it's between Epic and Flower. Now at this point, if it were me, I would do the Flower, because it's still very early on. Doing the Epic right now, could open up a couple of decent 2K epic tasks. But what I fear happening is if she clears the epic now, and then let's say it gives her 3 epic tasks within, you know, a couple of tasks. If she gets hit with like a 2K epic task right now that she can't do because she exceeded the points that is allowed to do on an epic, then now she's going to have 4 out of her 2K placements taken up with stuff she can't do, which would result in a cancellation. So then she would be in a situation where she would be forced to do a double cancel, right? So I would have went with Flower and seen if I could open up a couple of better options for the next couple of choices so I can stack up some points before I have to do my double cancel. So let's see what she does. So she does the keys. Doesn't make sense to me. This does not make sense to me. Keys give 0 opportunity. They were equal in value with the epic at the very worst. If she was to compare keys and epic, there was no reason whatsoever to do keys at all. I mean, that to me, I cannot make sense of this. So what she should have done is she should have looked at her list and she should have went, I'm 51 assignments remaining, okay? And she's already resulted to cashing in low point non-premiums with 0 opportunity. That is like end of the rope status. That is like, I don't have anything else to pick. And this is my best option here. And I'm going for points because I'm almost out of tasks kind of thing. That's when you would do something like this. This is not, think about it realistically. If she was training with me and showing me this, what would my instruction have been to her? What would I have said? I would have said, you have 51 tasks remaining. What are you going to do? What options do you have? What openings do you have for better things to happen? Because you can't do that for 51 tasks. Right? So let's say she does the keys like she did, and she gets a couple tasks and then the keys return. Now she's right back where she started, except for she's several tasks lower, several points lower, and now she's faced with the same dilemma. She hasn't opened up any better doorway for herself. There's too many tasks remaining to not open up better doorways, right? So then what people do is they think, well, I've already had a cancel, or I've already, taken too many hits. And so they think, I better cash in as many points as I can for a little while, and then I'll try to rotate something better later. That is the worst possible thought process you can have, because what ends up happening is the little time that you spend dinking around with shit like this, you lower your average even more so by picking the wrong thing, right? So this, to me, makes no sense, okay, whatsoever. So then she gets a 1K Paris. So at this point, she's got Paris at 1,000, Latin at 1,200. Those two, the Latin at 1,200 is at a great spot because that one can be worth up to 3,600. So I'd be clapping my hands for that one. The Paris at 1,000, excellent placement, okay, because that can be worth 3,000. So she's already knocked off 2. She's got the London, which is at 2,000. That sucks. And then she's got the 2,400 Old Town building. Now, that one can be up to 3,600 as well. So that would not be on the list of cancellation if we were to do a double cancel, which we're not going to do yet. So the only two that would be cancel status would be the design challenge for 2,400 and the 2,000 on the London. The reason that we would not cancel the Old Town building is because it has the option to come back worth 3,600 and or 3,000 points, whereas the London only has the opportunity to come back worth a maximum of 3,000 points, right? So if she were to get hit with like a 3,600 Old Town home, there's no letting that sit, and it could just keep coming back. The London has a higher chance of coming back lower, whereas the Latin and the new townhome, they have a higher chance of coming back more frequently and worth a higher value. That's why we rarely cancel those. The only time we really cancel those, the Latin or the new town, is if they're worth 3,000 or higher, which she knows this. So Given the fact that the entire top half of her list is basically not touchable at this point unless she cancels, then she would be looking more towards the bottom of her list, which the bottom of her list is coins for $13.50, which, why would we do coins? That doesn't make sense, right? It's barely worth 300 more, and it is going to return. It doesn't open up opportunities, so basically it's just whittling shit away until it returns. It's just like, okay, here, cash me in, let me eat up one of your very valuable assignments, and then I'm not going to basically give you anything good because I'm just going to come right back and we're just going to be right back here. So then she's got the Epic for $1,200 and the Flower. Now, as we've discussed, the Epic is kind of a hit and miss, as we've discussed. I would have went with the Flower, which she does repair. Okay, again, this makes no sense to me. Why did she do repair? I mean, out of all the frickin' things she could have picked, she picks repair. Why? Even if she thought she could run a VU repair and key loop, she has 50 frickin' tasks left. What the hell would possess you to think to do that? You know? There's no way possible. No. No, 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 no. So, this is the type of thing where I want to sit down with the person and be like, what was going through your head? She's only done 10 tasks. Okay, so she's 8,000 points down on her average. She's already got the majority of her list filled with upgrades. Why do you think that happened? Because she didn't rotate. And even if it would have happened that way, she would have been in a better situation even so, because she would have at least cleared the Flower. So she does the repair. She gets a 1,000 London. Now, okay, here, this is one of those things where it's like certain things have been sitting a long time and you need to open up a new door kind of thing. At this point, it doesn't make sense to do the delivery to London over the Flower. Why? Because of the fact she's allowed Flower to sit for so freaking long. It's kind of like, think of it like this. If you were to take a piece of paper, okay, and you have your whole list of assignments. Take your list of rotatable tasks and write it on a piece of paper. So right now we've got London, Flower, and Epic. Let's just say that those are the rotatable tasks for this current exercise. And we write that down on a piece of paper. Okay, follow along with me. So we've got London, Epic, and Flower. Now, we do the London, draw a line, and then draw 3 little lines coming off that line. Let's say that those are the options that the game is going to kick back at you for picking that. And then you do that with all 3 of these rotatable tasks. Okay? If you're constantly working the same door, opening up the same opportunities, you're never going to get anything better, right? So it would stand to reason that, you ever notice when you cancel like an upgrade? Notice how I say to cancel the one that's been sitting for the longest? Why do if the points values are the same, like let's say you're canceling, let's say you have a 2000 Tokyo, a 2000 London, 2000 Paris, and you're doing a double cancel. I tell people to cancel the one, if everything matches equally, cancel the one that's been sitting the longest. Why? Because certain assignments have doors that open up for their particular placement in your list. This is the top assignment. Is she really going to work one frickin' assignment, one top assignment for the whole 50 tasks? No, right? So Flower's still 80 points higher, and it hasn't been touched. It's been sitting for so damn long. It needs to be fixed. Okay, now, saying that she was doing good and saying that she had been utilizing up the majority of her tasks and was doing an equal amount of rotation, then I would say to go with the London, right? Because it would pose a higher opportunity in terms of kickback. But under this particular incident, I would not. I would say go with the flower because you haven't done it. It's been sitting there too long. The game's screaming, do flower, and she hasn't done it. Now, she does the delivery to London, and she gets delivery to Paris. Now, because this is at a 2400 placement, obviously, this would be the correct choice over the flower at this point, right? Because it's at a 2400 placement. Okay, now she gets a rare war attack for 1000. Now, normally, again, if we were faced with flower over war attack, we would normally pick it, right? But given the circumstances, the game is she's working one task still. She still should have went with the flower, but she didn't, and she gets a 2K VU, which obviously she would do that, right? Because of its value. Then she gets her 1200 keys comes back. Notice the pattern here? Everything's coming in with a low value. And it's going to continue to do that at this point. So hang on, I'm trying to figure out what happened. 46, put in a lot of screenshots here. Okay, so again, with the frickin' keys, are you serious? You just did this. You just did this for 1200. And it came back for 1200. Why would you pick keys over flower? I'm not getting, I'm really not understanding this. Oh my god. Okay. Now she does the flower over the keys when they're 400 points higher than the last 2 times she did keys. So where was the logic here? What made you pick flower here? So let me understand this correctly. If the keys are at 1200, it's okay to pick them over flower 2 times. But if the keys are at 1600, you pick flower. That shows me right there that you're just grasping at straws. You're not going by any logic. You're just like, I wanted points. I know what happened. She picked keys because they were higher in points and she was stressing about her average. Then she realized that it fucked her up, so she went with the flower after she had already screwed herself twice. So now that she's done the flower, she's going to get hit with a 1K VU. Okay. Now she's probably going to go with keys again, is my assumption, when she should rotate in that epic at this point. Because of the fact that the VU hasn't kicked her back anything good yet, the keys, they pose no benefit to her whatsoever. Like, they're not opening up anything great, and they are not a solution to her problem. She has too many tasks left. And if she didn't learn her lesson on the last 2 times, I don't understand. So she does the epic. Okay, so obviously something clicked. And she gets a 1200 legendary. Now at this point, I would say it's time for a double cancel. Okay? So at this point, she's got the majority of her list is sitting at the upgrade. You know, the type of upgrade. If it was me, at this point, I would take another hit on the average, which she should have. She wouldn't be this far down had she rotated the flower to begin with. Okay? This happened because she did the keys twice, because she picked the 800 war attack. Like, though she just boom, boom, boom. If she wouldn't have taken all those little kicks, these 2 big kicks wouldn't have been so bad. She would have been able to save herself. But given the circumstances now, it's like, well, you're already beat to a pulp. You might as well just take the knife and slit your throat, kind of thing. Like, you have no other option at this point, right? So, remember earlier at the very beginning of this particular video when I said to take into consideration that we know we will have to do a double cancel at some point because of the way her list was set up at the beginning? That right there, when I said that at the beginning, that should have been your first clue to constantly work on opportunity, right? So the problem with people is they either go one of 2 ways. They either go all for points or all for opportunity. You have to find an equal balance of the 2. And you have to focus on where you're at in the contest. If you are between 1 and 50 tasks, Okay, so the first 50 tasks of the contest, opportunity trumps value in terms of 2K or lower, or below 2,000 is what I mean. Points trumps opportunity when 2,000 or higher because of placement, right? So if you have a repair VU for 2,000, you would do it over a 1,200 legendary. Why? Because of value. It's holding that 2K placement. It's going to give you your 2K average. But if it's below that and you fall between the first 50 tasks, more often than not, you're going to be going for opportunity over value, because ultimately that is going to lead to better value, right? So under these circumstances, she could do the launch legendary for the 1,200, but she has nothing else open in her list, and the game is kicking her back with really low valued tasks. So right now, she would want to go back to the, try to see if I can find her her list here. So she would want to cancel the London and the design challenge. If she cancels just one at this point, it's not going to be good. It'll probably just kick her back with an upgrade again. She needs to reset the list. So what ends up happening is when you do one cancellation versus two, when to do one cancellation versus two? Well, when you do one cancellation, it's usually because it's a 3K or higher task, right? And it's either the only one in the list, or there aren't at least 3 upgrades taken up a 2K placement. Once you hit 3 upgrades at a 2K value, you're running out of room for anything good to pop up, okay? In these circumstances, she could do a double cancel on the old townhome, but that runs a really, really high risk. If she does a double cancel on the new townhome and it does give her a 3K or higher, she will have screwed herself, because she will have to cancel. It won't be a, oh, well, you just work around it. She will have to cancel. And that one will come back more frequently. So it's not worth the risk, considering that her average is super, super, super low. If she was like at a 2,500 average, it may be wise for her to take the risk, you know, but there's no reason whatsoever to take that kind of risk at all, by any means, especially given how many tasks she has left. So like, let's say her average was 2,500 and she had like 14 tasks remaining and had to do a double cancel. I would probably say screw it, risk it, do the 2,400 upgrade cancellations, because it's worth taking the risk. Even if it comes back worth a 3,600 value, you only have so many tasks left and you can probably bounce back from it. Under these circumstances, it doesn't make sense to do that. So I would have went with a cancel the design challenge upgrade and cancel the London upgrade, both at the same time, get them done. Now at this point, I don't know what she did. What did she do? She didn't do that. So she canceled something, but I don't know what it was. She canceled... Where's the bottom of her list? She must have canceled the 2,000 London, I guess. So she cancels the 2,000 London, she gets a repair. It would have kicked her back something better had she not touched the repair, but now that repair was an option, it kicked it back to her. So she gets a repair and she cancels the design. So she does her double cancel. Okay. Now she gets hit with another upgrade of some kind. So the reason that the repair and the coins were, or should not have been touched, this is the exact reason right here, right? So at least she opened up those placements, right? So as long as the repair comes in, if the repair comes in worth 2,000, then she can hold her 2K average by doing it. If it comes in worth less than 2,000, at least she opened up that 2K placement. So it's not like an opportunity lost here, right? So The whole point was to open up those chairs. Now, what we're hoping for is that that upgrade comes back of a low value. So, in the meantime, what she should have done is went with the 1200 Legendary War Attack. It doesn't make sense whatsoever to do the VU. Now, we're at 3 days, 15 hours. Oh, she didn't even do the VU. She did the frickin' keys. Are you serious? Arrgh! Okay, so... Wow. Obviously, she's going to do the epic. And then the keys. Now she gets hit with a Submit Design Challenge for 2,500. And she gets a 2K London Town. So she does Repair over War. Why? That doesn't make sense at all. Okay. So she gets a 600 paint, which is pretty typical considering the task that she chose to do. She should go with the 1200 legendary attack, but saying that we're not in war during this time, saying that that's not an option, she should go with the VU. She should have went with the VU when she did the repair. Or the keys or whatever it was. I'm so irritated. Why are you canceling that? I mean, yeah, you have two... So with this particular task, I've noticed it comes back quite a bit. I wouldn't have canceled just yet. I would have canceled the upgrade over that simply because that one comes in worth a 20. From what I've seen, every time this one comes back, it comes back worth 2,500. So if it comes back, or when is what I should say, it could hold that 25k placement and or 2,500 value, and then that's no good. Whereas the repair, or the upgrade has a higher chance of not returning and a higher chance of coming back in lower. So if I was going to take another cancellation, I sure as hell would not have picked this. I understand that her thought was that it was higher, you know, in value and to cancel it, but that's why you wouldn't, is what I'm saying. So she cancels that, and she gets a 1,400 saps. Now, at this point, I don't know where she's at with war, but if she is at the point where she can do that launch legendary attack, I would do the launch legendary attack. Why would I do that over the saps? Because it poses a higher, something better because of the fact that it's a high premium. And given the fact that it's been sitting there for some time now, and war is a limited assignment, right? So it's something that has to be done on a timer. Now, she does the sap, so I'm assuming she was in war or whatever. Or not in war. So she gets the 1,700 shoes. $2K. So here she's faced with a 1,600 epic and a 1,200 legendary war attack. So it comes down to the epic, the launch VU, and the launch legendary war attack. If she can't do the launch war attack and her epic is on a cooldown, VU would be her next choice. And she does the epic, so obviously she has that option. Okay, then she gets a 2K repair, which obviously she would do. And then she gets a 2K glue, okay. 1,800 cargo, great. 1,500 nails. Okay, she would do that. Now the 1,600 on the repair. So I would have went with the legendary war attack if that was possible. Let's see. Given the circumstances that she still has 27 tasks remaining, if the legendary war attack was not possible, then I would have went with the repair for the points values under these circumstances, we're starting to needs to